Hello, my name is Rollo Wexford, and today I'm wearing a blue sports coat that looks like it's made of fuzzy robe material. I had to start the video back there so you could see I wasn't wearing a robe. I like things to be a little more formal than that when I do videos. Anybody who's watching, I think there's like 3 of you, and you're probably all related to me. You probably know that I'm just starting out here, but I don't think you know why. For the first time in my life, I want people to hear what I have to say. I've always been a pretty weird kid. I've always been a lot more comfortable in the background than, trying to be someone in the spotlight. But then I started doing these YouTube videos with with the mind of promoting myself, because I've got a couple writing projects, in the works, and I want them to succeed. But then things changed a little bit, and right now my voice isn't the one that needs to be heard. It will in the future, right? Once things progress for the better, we're still going to want people to write entertaining stuff, and that'll be my time. But I wasn't even going to post a video this week because there's a lot more important things happening than me, doing whatever I do, recommending a product for no money or whatever. So I scrapped this week's video, and I wasn't going to post anything at all. I was trying to think of something socially relevant. I thought about, talking about the X-Men. I thought about talking about the Nickelodeon show, all that. Very inclusive, racially diverse cast. But both of those ideas kind of centered around me saying, hey, look at me, I'm not a racist. Right? Because I had these things that entertained me when I was a child that taught me that race wasn't a factor in somebody's character, right? But then, reading a million different posts from a million different people, many of whom I respect, telling me to keep my mouth shut about not being a racist, I took that advice, right? So what I keep hearing is help your friends who are people of color to promote their works, help them to get their voice out there. And I find myself in an interesting position because the person of color who I want the most people to hear has a better platform and is more... Sorry, excuse me. The person whose voice I want heard most, and I'm going to stop saying person of color because he's a person regardless, and take race and ethnicity out of it, and I respect this person. The person whose voice I most want heard is more successful than I am. He is a person who inspired me to do all this, to follow a dream. Because who does that anymore? I remember being a student, and I remember adults I respected telling me to follow my dream. And I always knew that meant I should write stories. I like doing that. But when I became an adult and I had to earn a paycheck, I stopped for 7 years. I didn't write hardly anything at all. And in that time, I started to feel okay about not following my dream at all. Because adults don't have to do that. There's no imperative for adults to do anything that's not practical. I had a job. I was earning a paycheck. I bought a house at a fairly young age, and I felt very good about who I was and what I was doing. The whole time, there was somebody doing it better than me, the whole adult with a dream thing. Because in addition to, just having a job and owning a home, he was also raising a family with 2 amazing kids and a beautiful wife. and actually producing content of a caliber that was above anything that I could really imagine for myself at the time. I'm talking about a guy named Jerry D. Grayson, Cowboy Dracula, who wrote the Godsend Agenda game, which is probably my favorite take on superheroes ever. Hellas, which is, my favorite stab at cultural appropriation. Greek mythology written by a person of color, rewritten better by a person of color. And Atlantis, The Second Age, which is another game of incredible quality and, ingenious creativity. And he's also got a new project that I'm going to link to at the end of the video that's going to get kickstarted here in a couple days. But the one that I really want to recommend as my unpaid and unasked for endorsement for the week is Bastion, which Jerry labels as an Afrocentric sword and sorcery game. And if you've looked at my website or my Patreon, you know that kind of my mission here is to take fantasy literature and move it past Tolkien. Not because I have anything wrong with Tolkien, but because there needs to be a new ingredient in our imagination. And that means not looking at the same few European myths over and over and over again. It moves beyond just the stuff that we get taught in school as part of a mythology course, as a mythology unit in a history or a literature class. And if we shove these things, if we shove fantasy and entertainment that isn't centered around the same, set of European or American stories over and over again, if we push that into the collective unconscious, if we make this something that people need to learn about in order to understand what we're talking about, that's what moves that kind of education into schools. That's when we start learning about things like Sundiata in a world literature class, which too many people don't, So that's what I want to do. I want to talk. Well, I'm not going to talk anything about it because I believe that it has its own merits. This is a fun game. It's easy to pick up. It's easy to understand the rules. It's easy to make a character, and it's easy to run. All of that ease doesn't sacrifice any of the nuance or depth that makes for a really good role-playing game. And if you get somebody if you have somebody in your life who likes role-playing games and they want to run or play in a game that isn't just a bunch of people traveling from one place to a castle and destroying a thing, take a look. Click on the links that I'm going to include here and just click around for a while. See if there's anything that strikes your fancy. And it doesn't have to be a Black Lives Matter thing. It should be, right? Everything that we're doing should point to the fact that we're in a place that all lives should matter equally. That we shouldn't even have to specify that one group of people's lives is better than any other group of people's lives. It's ridiculous that we're still in a place where we even have to think along those lines, right? So do yourself a favor, right? And go experience stuff that makes other cultures real to you, right? There's a quote that I love, that the purpose of literature is to prove that other people really exist, right? Because if you can delve into some other culture's literature and really understand the stories that shape who they are from when they're a little kid to when they're an adult, you understand that they're just as real as you are, right? Role-playing games are a much more niche market than just literature. It takes a special group of people to sit around a table and play in your imagination, but it helps you connect with other people, whatever their culture is. It helps you connect with who that other person is on a deeper level, right? Screw it. Maybe we're just going off track here a little bit, but that's okay, right? I don't adventure. You don't either. You might go hike or do whatever, but you don't pick up a sword and swing it at a dragon. You don't go loot a tomb for ancient treasures. That's not something that we do. We don't fight against evil, most of us, in any kind of real or meaningful way, right? People who are going out and protesting are steps farther along on that adventure track than we are, the people who maybe sit at home and give to a cause or make a silly YouTube video, right? So But people used to go out and face the unknown, right? People used to gather together and go face something that they thought was an opposing ideal. Tabletop role playing games let you do that, right? If you want to know what somebody really thinks or feels, watch them pretend to be somebody else. Watch them in the comfort of somebody else's skin and see what parts of that real person shine through that character to make them, you know, a unit in the fight against good. No, wait. A unit in the fight against evil. A soldier in the fight against evil, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, none of this is scripted or planned. Point is, go check out Bastion. Go check out Cowboy Dracula on YouTube. Experience what makes another human being amazing, regardless of the color of their skin, right? Go delve into a truly brilliant mind that's got a truly wonderful imagination and see for yourself, right? If you're watching this, you're probably not a racist dirtbag. It doesn't really. In fact, if you're watching this, you probably know me personally, which means you also probably know Jerry. So I'm probably not doing this for a big world-shattering reason, but it's important to let the people in your life know that you care about them, right? It feels like I'm writing a friggin' eulogy here, and I'm not, right? I'm saying something that takes a little bit of courage sometimes, and that's I care about another human being, right? Regardless of anybody's judgment, regardless of whatever else is going on in the real world, I care about another human being, and you should too. Good night and good luck.